So welcome everyone. Let us start. So I hope we were listening to the lines, Book 1, Canto 5, read by Shraddhavan. And today we have to start from around this page number 80, 83. Yeah, no, end of 82 and then we go to 83. So, yeah. So let us maybe read a little bit before we start the new lines. Where shall we take from? Okay. So page number 81, towards the end, as when a timeless eye annuls the hours. So we'll read from here and then we will take up the new non-colored lines. Yeah. Would anyone want to read?
Yeah, Monica, I'll read.
Okay.
Monica, if you don't mind, can you increase the font size a bit?
Yes.
Is it possible? Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Well, yeah.
As when a timeless eye annuls the hours, abolishing the agent and the act, so now his spirit shone out wide, blank, pure. His vacant mind became an empty slate on which the universal and soul could write. All that represses our fallen consciousness was taken from him like a forgotten load. A fire that seemed the body of a god consumed the limiting figures of the past and made large room for a new self to live. Eternity's contact broke the molds of sense. I'll continue.
I think next someone else can read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, this much maybe someone else can read.
Can you hear me? Yeah. A greater force than the earthly held his limbs. Huge workings barred his huge workings bid his undiscovered. Strange energies wrought and screamed tremendous hands. Unwound dual cord of mind and
Can you hear, Monica?
No, there's something wrong with maybe the connection. Yeah.
There is some network problem.
Yes. Okay, no problem. Sharda ji, maybe you can go ahead and read the blue part also.
Sure. A greater force than earthly held his limbs. Huge workings bared his undiscovered sheets. Strange energies wrought and screamed tremendous hands. Unwound the triple cord of mind and freed the heavenly wideness of a Godhead's gaze. As through a dress the wearer's shape is seen, there reached through forms to the hidden absolute, a cosmic feeling and transcendent sight.
Yeah, thank you. So we just to kind of remind ourselves, we are reading book 1, Canto 5, and this is about the yoga of the spirit's freedom and greatness. So when one rises in consciousness, all these bondages which are binding us to these mortal laws. One is not subjected to them. So that's what we are reading. Eternity's contact broke the molds of sense. So as if we are shut in these molds of sense. And for Ashwapati now, they did not hold true. And this we had again touched upon earlier, that how the descent of force is working on Ashwapati, screened tremendous hands. So hands which cannot be seen, they are working, unwound the triple cord of mind and freed the heavenly wideness of a Godhead's gaze. As through a dress the wearer's shape is seen, there reached through forms to the hidden absolute, a cosmic feeling and a transcendent sight. So this is what is now given, granted to Ashwapati because of his yoga, the yoga that he is doing within himself. So let us take the last bit now that we had earlier touched upon. Maybe we'll just then take it all at once. Yes. So if not anyone else, Sharda ji, maybe you can just continue and take it up also, the purple part.
Yeah. Increased and heightened were the instruments. Illusion lost her aggrandizing lens. As from her failing hand the measures fell, atomic looked the things that loomed so large. The little ego's ring could join no more. In the enormous spaces of the self, the body now seemed only a wandering shell, his mind the many frescoed outer coat of an imperishable inhabitant. His spirit breathed a superhuman air. The imprisoned deity rent its magic fence. As with the sound of thunder and of seas, vast barriers crashed around the huge escape, immutably coeval with the world, circle and the end of every hope and toil, inexorably drawn round thought and act. The fixed, immovable peripheries effaced themselves beneath the incarnate's tread. So, Monica, can you just give a gist of this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So as the descent of force works on Ashwapati, the senses also refine themselves. One gets a subtler sense, an inner sense, which usually we are not used to. So increased and heightened were the instruments. So even the instruments now are being worked upon. Illusion lost her aggrandizing lens. So last time we were discussing that how in our day-to-day life, when we are attached and weak and all kind of things are there at various points, little issues of life, they appear so big. Like, oh my god, what happened, like that. So when he rises in this consciousness and he sees from as if he has a greater look now, he has a larger perspective, illusion loses her aggrandizing lens. So Maya, now atomic looked the things that loomed so large. So जो भी चीजें हैं वो इतनी बड़ी 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 बड़ी, ओ इतना ये कुछ हो गया, we make such a drama out of all the happenings of our life. Now they could not appear that big. They actually appear how they actually are. They are nothing but atomic, very small. What are we in front of numerous lives that we have lived? This lifetime is just a speck of dust. But when we are living it, it appears, oh my god, each little happening, and oh lag gayi, chot lag gayi, I fell ill, oh I have this disease. They appear so big, and when they are so overwhelming, then also we are not able to take the right action when we are overwhelmed by situations. So we had touched upon this also. Atomic looked the things that loomed so large. The little ego's ring could join no more. Now he could not be this little me, separate self. He could not be that. For him, that just, it became open. In the enormous spaces of the self, the body now seemed only a wandering shell. So we give so much of importance to this body, right? And through this body, each one who is associated, to them also importance is given. My family, my relatives, my siblings, So whoever is associated with this separate self, we give more importance to that, and rest everyone is stranger. But now this totally lost its significance, the little ego, the little self. And now the body is just like any other instrument. It's like a wandering shell, not that important. We are all ordinary, extraordinary, and who are we but a speck of dust in the vast universe and eons that have passed before us. So now the body seemed only a wandering shell. His mind the many frescoed outer coat of an imperishable inhabitant. So last time we were discussing about also this word called fresco, and frescoes are usually like if you enter a huge cathedral, on the outer wall you have paintings and everything. But it's only the periphery, it's just the outer wall. When you go deep inside, then you maybe have the Jesus Christ or whoever, the deities inside. So all the time in our human life, we are lost in the mind. And what is mind? Mind is just the outer fringe of what we truly are. So if we always are lost in the game of mind and thoughts and feelings and all that, then we will never be able to enter truly what is deep hidden inside. But now he could see that mind is just the outer coat, the many frescoed outer coat of an imperishable inhabitant, that deity which is lodged inside of the temple, which we are never in touch with. So mind is just that, like the outer premises of a deeper temple, which we have to travel and go inside and get in touch with the deity, imperishable inhabitant. But now he was able to see this, and his spirit breathed a superhuman air. The imprisoned deity rent its magic fence. So as if this illusion that we read earlier, the ignorance, as if a curtain of ignorance, because of being lost in the mind always, we are not able to pass through that curtain. But he was able to pass through that curtain, and now the deity was not imprisoned anymore. The deity, as if was, in earlier mythological stories, we used to see that how you cast a spell, and then even a very powerful person is just trapped in that spell. All his powers are not powers anymore because he is just trapped. He doesn't know how powerful he is. But now that magic fence is rent, and the imprisoned deity is not prisoned anymore. As with a sound of thunder and of seas, vast barriers crashed around the huge escape. And Shraddha was sharing that as if one can actually hear these sounds at times when these barriers of ignorance crash, and they shatter. Then at times, seers and mystics, they can hear these crashing sounds. Immutably coeval with the world. And now he talks about what are these barriers in which, we are trapped. Immutably coeval with the world. So they exist parallelly with this material world, these boundaries that are around us, these obligations, as if it's a law, you can't cross that law. Circle and end of every hope and toil. So we see how in our life we are just bound. We may have an ambition, we may be following our passion, but there is till a point that we can go. After that, again, as if something pulls us back. Oh, my responsibilities, duties, oh, you are this daughter-in-law, so we can go only a little bit further, but then we are pulled back, and we can't go really truly further and further and further. And that is as if a law in this material world, that if you have taken a human birth, you are limited in whatever sense. But now for Ashupati, who has now opened up his ego's ring, these fixed, immovable periphery effaced themselves as if they disappeared. They did not hold true for Ashupati. So in ordinary consciousness, we human beings feel so limited at times, and most of the times, that, oh my God, I have to do this role and obligation, I have to do this duty. Yes, I can follow my passion, but only this far, not that far. I can't live like a mad, free spirited person, because I have to please this person, that person. But for Ashwapati, who now was able to truly get in touch with his spirit, these immutable, fixed periphery, immovable fixed peripheries, they were not holding true anymore. Because he is not now in that consciousness. And we can
He's free.
actually use this example of, for example, when we are on road, for a car, there is a separate law that this is the speed, 80, 90, whatever kilometers per hour. And that too, in the city, you drive at 40 or 50 kilometers per hour. So that's a law. And if you do anything against that law, you are maybe challaned, or, you get fined. But for an aeroplane, this law is not valid. So it is allowed to run on the road also, and that too at greater speeds. And then it is not just allowed to run on the roads, but it can actually take off and go into the space. And if we go further so I'm just comparing as if they are levels of our consciousness. If we go further and we are a spaceship, then even the laws which are valid for aeroplanes are not valid for me, because a spaceship will defy gravity after some time. So it's very interesting that how, and if I am a bicycle, again, for a bicycle, different laws. For a walker, a person who is walking, different laws. As I become a spaceship, different laws. If I am a UFO, again. So as we are in different planes of our consciousness, laws change. And that is why we see in Mahabharata, we see in Gita, that for the ethics and moralities which are valid for ordinary human beings are not valid for Krishna. He can loiter around with so many gopis. But if an ordinary person goes around with so many gopis, he is considered, like crazy. But a Krishna is not considered crazy, because he is not living on that ordinary plane of consciousness. So those laws will not operate, ethics, moralities in which we are bound, they will not operate for him. And again, the law of truth and falsehood. Now we see that usually we say, oh, don't tell a lie, don't tell a lie. But for a Krishna, this is not valid, because he is living on that plane of consciousness that he is doing all kinds of, one can say, sin and lies in order to make the truth win. So here it was shared that as we move in our planes of consciousness, the earlier laws which were acting at earlier planes of consciousness, lower planes of consciousness, they are not valid anymore. And like, again, we can say, take many examples here. Like usually we will say, have good company, go to good people, listen to good words. Now this is very valid for people like us in ordinary consciousness, because each word has a influence on us, and better to have good influence. But for a yogi or a seer or a person who is much realized, he can actually sit with a criminal and he has the power to change the criminal, or a terrorist, or like Buddha had the power to interact with Angulimal, and Angulimal changed in his presence. So we have to see that these laws are, they are not like, they appear very fixed laws, but they are not fixed. As we change our planes of consciousness, the laws also lose their grip, and they are not valid anymore. So that's what we were reading here, that immutably coeval with the world, circle and end of every hope and toil, inexorably drawn around thought and act, the fixed, immovable peripheries effaced themselves beneath the incarnate's tread. For a god walking, or for a spirit walking, these are not valid anymore. So you can go out at 12 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock at night, 3 o'clock at night. It doesn't matter. Now those laws are not holding you. You can, for example, for an ambulance, the law does not exist that it has to stop at a red light. It can cross the red light. So as we grow in our consciousness, we see that the earlier laws which were holding us down, they are not valid. So until this point, we had done, taken reflection. So if there are questions or reflections, we can take, else we maybe take new lines today. Yeah. Anyone? Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll take again, like the last time, we will take reflections also from MP Pandit's commentary on Savitri, these lines. We'll read them also. So now what's happening as Ashupati is gaining stature in his spirit and he's losing the grip of mortal ignorance that's losing hold on him. So let's read these new lines and then we can study the reflections. Anyone would like to read the lines in yellow?
I'll read. The dire velamen and bottomless crypt between which life and thought forever move. Forbidden still to cross the dim dread bounds, the guardian darkness mute and formidable, empowered to circumscribe and the wingless spirit in the boundaries of mind and ignorance, protecting no more a dual eternity, vanished rescinding their enormous role. Once figure of creation's vain ellipse, the expanding zero lost its giant curve.
Yeah. So usually as if we are trapped between two as if boundaries. One is above, one is below. Now let's have a look at it. So we have these senses through which we are seeing, touching, feeling, tasting, all these senses that are given to us. Then we have the sense of mind, which interprets the data that comes through the sensory input. But this is only this much. Then there is something here and something here. So both sides there are some things, but we can't see because our vision is like this. It's a narrow vision because of the senses. So our consciousness usually is trapped as if the superconscient or something which is above my consciousness that I am not aware of. Mostly we can get aware of as we grow in yoga, but usually we are not aware of it. So the above, more intangible, we are not aware of. The below, which we call inconscient or the subconscient or the unconscient, that also we are not aware of. So as if there is a curtain above, something has drawn a curtain above and you are not aware of that. And then there is a bottomless crypt, as if something hidden darkness below also, our subconscious patterns, unconscious patterns, they are below. They are also something which we are not aware of. So as mother says, we read the mother and mother says, become conscious of why do you think like that? Why do you feel like that? Because the moment I become conscious of my thinking patterns and feeling patterns, I begin to question. And in questioning, they lose slowly the grip over me. But if I don't question and don't look at them, then they are running my life and I have no clue. So in as if greater degrees, we become conscious of our thinking patterns. Why am I thinking like that for that person? Why am I thinking like that about my own self? Why do I take always this thing in this way? Why not in some other way? Again, regarding feelings also, we can ask such kind of questions, that why do I feel like that all the time when some input like that happens? So when we begin to question our usual patterns, then we realize that, oh my God, actually patterns were ruling me and I did not have any mastery over myself. So these are the things hidden from us. And then as we rise in consciousness, or the chakras open, or we gain stature in spirit and have a deeper connection with the inner being, there also we realize that we become aware of such one can say planes of consciousness which we were not aware of. We did not even know that they exist. For example, a person who can say, there are people who can see angels. Now for usual people like us, we can't see angels, but that doesn't mean that angels don't exist. So just like that, spirits or ghosts or planes of beings of on other planes, just because I can't see them because my instrument is so narrow, it doesn't mean that they don't exist. And like that, there are further things above our consciousness, our higher self, our deeper self, of which we have no clue, because all the time we are just here, whatever sensory input is coming, whatever the mind is interpreting, totally believing in that and nothing else. So that keeps us present. So this is what is coming in these lines that you just read. The dire velamen. Velamen is a veil. It's like a curtain which is above. And the bottomless crypt below. And usually through our dreams, we become aware of these subconscious patterns which we are ruled from, and we have no clue, because in dreams we cannot hide it. They just come up in dreams and we become aware of our fears and insecurities and all of that. So the dire velamen above, the very stark curtain above, and the bottomless crypt below, between which life and thought forever move, forbidden still to cross the dim dread bounds, the guardian darknesses mute and formidable, empowered to circumscribe the wingless spirit. So this is how the spirit is trapped, because you are not allowed to think beyond your thought. You as if though you feel that as if you are losing control, and we are not able to let go of that mind and thought. And it takes a lot of courage when we become less and less sure of our thoughts and feelings. Lots of courage is required, that you stop believing in your thoughts and feelings anymore, and you become open to something more. You become receptive to something more. So the guardian darknesses, this is the guardian darkness above and below, they are mute. They don't open your mouth. You can't discuss with them. You can't talk to them. And formidable, like they're scary. And that's why we run away from our emptinesses. Whenever we feel lonely, we want to just run away. We want to talk to a friend, or just go to an entertaining something. But we don't want to be with them because they are formidable, empowered. And these darknesses they are guardians, and they are empowered so that the spirit remains wingless and circumscribed, so that it doesn't gain stature. And there is a purpose behind that, because as slowly through life experiences we gain stature, that we now can see what is hidden above and below, then we are ready to see our darknesses and maybe our powers. But before that, ignorance is like a curtain. Imagine that you are sleeping, and first of all it's like dark night, and somebody just opens all the curtains and very strong sunlight is there. You would do like this, you'll close your eyes, that no, I can't take that strong light anymore, because just do it slowly. So ignorance is like that curtain, that as in our life journey through all the experiences and tragedies and happenings of life, we become more and more ripe, so that we can take those powers and we can see those shadows which are hiding and transmute them, transform them. That is how slowly we are open to them. So there is a purpose behind ignorance. There is a purpose behind guardian darknesses. It's not like somebody is playing, like game with us. We are playing a game with ourselves. That as we will gain stature in ourselves, as we will ripen as a human being, then we will have more power and more strength, so that I can look at my darknesses, weaknesses, perfections, and transmute them, imperfections, and transmute them into a greater strength. Before that, they are not revealed to me. And slowly we realize that we have so much of power, that we are actually the king, and we continued to live like a beggar. But it's only through gradual happenings that it happens. So anything here, anyone? So it is shared here how the darkness is preserved and the spirit is circumscribed. It's limited. We can't imagine that how limited we feel and how unlimited a fellow is present within this body. That's the paradox of truth. That there is God residing in this body, and usually we are feeling so limited. That's the paradox. So these guardian darknesses are empowered to circumscribe the wingless spirit in the boundaries of mind and ignorance. So this is how we are kept a slave to the mortal limits. Mind is a limited field. Yes, Sardaji?
Yeah, just now I experienced this one, Monica. Just now you were explaining, sometimes when we are lonely, we want to run, we want to talk to somebody, we want to do something, we want to get away from this loneliness. Just now, 1 hour back it happened to me. So till such time I was translating something and I was sitting, but suddenly I felt a loneliness. I don't know from where it came. I was, very, very restless and I couldn't control myself. Then I went inside the mother's room. I came out. I started walking. I thought of calling my sister, calling someone, but I couldn't control. Then I started thinking, why am I thinking like this? Why am I feeling like this? Then I went inside. I took some biscuit. I ate. I was, acting funny. I was looking at myself, but I didn't know from where this loneliness suddenly came, and it just it swallowed me. After some time, I couldn't control, so I took my phone. I saw some, 2-3 messages, then kept my phone. Then I started doing some work. I could not get over it.
Yeah,
So it
beautiful.
is so big.
It is, yeah, that's why formidable. And mute because they don't speak anything in the beginning, right? So I think very good, beautiful experience that you shared, because we all of us go through these phases of darkness and loneliness and emptiness and void and blankness, whatever name we can give it. And the beauty is that, of course, at times we can't handle it, and we either call up a friend or go out, watch a movie, or whatever. We try to distract, one can say, ourselves from this darkness, which is feeling, we are feeling it's, we can't bear it.
Yeah, it was
But
too much.
yes, it was too much, exactly. What happens slowly is that as we gain muscles, slowly we become more and more friends with this loneliness. And it is like, I have felt that every time we become more of a friend to this empty looking loneliness, as if a door opens in us. And if we don't distract ourselves with anything else, then otherwise we lose an opportunity. See, you know, if there was a door to be opened and I distracted myself with something which is usual to give me, it gives me joy or whatever, brings me pleasure, watching
Comfort.
yeah, comfort, exactly, right word. Like I watch something or eat something, or go meet a friend, something like that. And at times it is totally valid, we do that because at times we can't bear it. But as we grow in our muscles and we can slowly bear it, then you see that actually you begin to enjoy this empty kind of loneliness or whatever. And that is when deeper doors open in our consciousness. The longer we stay with this emptiness, as if your mother says, at some place, mother says, as if you're standing, you're going deep inside and you're standing in front of a closed door. and keep standing, keep standing, keep standing, keep standing. What we do is we are standing for 2 minutes and then we are distracted. We are not standing anymore. All of us.
Yeah.
So why would that door open? Because it sees that no, nobody is waiting for me to open, so it closes or it doesn't open. So, and there is one mystic, she's called Teresa of Avila. And she actually has likened the journey to entering a castle with many, many hidden doors. And, when we enter our soul consciousness, there are many hidden doors. And if we continue to run away from this emptiness which comes from time to time, then how will I ever have the, joy of this journey of adventure within? So slowly, again, it has to be done slow, because I totally agree that at times we are not ready to bear that much of solitude.
But Monica, this is very powerful that,
Hmm.
it made me up. I was about to cry.
Hmm.
I don't know why I was about to cry.
Hmm.
Everything is okay. There is no problem at all. But I was about to cry. Then I thought, see, what is this? What am I doing? I should not. At least I'll go and do something in the kitchen. I'll go and cook. So, like on cinema, I was watching myself.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes.
So I felt very, funny about what is this?
Yeah.
Wow. At what you are, getting scared.
Yeah.
There is nothing.
Yeah.
See, but many a times it happens only at around the 6:30 timing. I don't know whether there is any connection with this. I don't know, but it happens to me only at that time.
Usually, it's very interesting what you said. Usually, this time, which is called Sandhya, right? It's called the Sandhya period. It is considered one of the quietest possible times that we can get. It's like everybody, just say birds are etc are going home, and things are quietening down. Of course, not in cities, because we have pam 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 pam, everything is there. But in general, it is considered a very good time, the dusk and the dawn time, where two things are kind of shades of gray. The day is not there, right? You must of course know. So again, as if it's a possibility of a door opening at that moment, because of that quietude and the power of things getting together. But since I'm not ready, I lose that opportunity to be with myself. So maybe the next time, I think, like an experiment you can do, the next time you are beginning to get into all this, the drama of loneliness, if in that moment you can stop yourself and remind yourself that, okay, opportunity. And if you stay with that quietude and solitude, which for the older self will appear, actually, one can cry, because the older self will cry. See what happens when we get married. When the lady is going to the other house, we cry, because it's a new birth. You are leaving the old self and you are entering a new self. So I think just like that, we continue to give a new birth to ourselves every time.
Beautiful.
So it's crying is absolutely valid, because the older self is crying. It's kind of leaving its older comfort zones, but not yet ready to completely adapt to the new one. So the crying is there. One can also look at it like that.
Yeah, beautiful. I have never thought about it. But today, at least for the first time, I was watching myself. How am I acting? Beautiful. How many times I'm walking? Oh, what and all my mind is thinking.
Very nice. Yes. I think this is beautiful, because see, at times we can get frustrated that, oh my God, so much chatter, oh my God, so much feelings, drama going on. But I think we don't need to get frustrated, because the only thing is that we just are watching, as you said, they're watching the drama of our life. So again and again, we will get lost in the drama, and then again we will get back our stance and we'll say, oh, very interesting what's going on. So this back and forth will go for a very long time before we get absolutely, kind of a witness stance. And we actually realize that we are always in that witness stance. There is never a moment when we are not in that witness stance. Why? Because all the time, aren't we knowing what am I thinking? We are knowing. Or aren't we knowing how am I feeling? Am I feeling sad or moody or depressed? We are knowing. So that knowing stance is always there. But we are not conscious about it. So what example that you shared, that I was watching it, so it means I'm becoming conscious that I'm knowing. And that is what we have to strengthen. So thoughts and feelings are not a problem. The problem is that I'm not usually aware that I'm knowing. I am the knowing aspect. Usually I'm just lost in the drama itself completely. So this kind of a, getting into the role and then getting out of the role, getting into the role and getting, knowing that I am the actor. This actually is a beautiful kind of exercise to detach.
And as soon as I spoke to my sister, I spoke, not even spoke, I just texted. But within 2 minutes, I became all right. What is this? Then, then I smiled at myself for that
Yes.
also.
Yes, I think this, we have to acknowledge this, because this is, see, we all are living mostly on our vital plane, which is our emotional being. That emotional being needs energy. It's the energy being, it's vital being is the energy being. Some or the other habit you will have to develop. We all, you means not you, we all have to develop, where it replenishes our energies. So usually when we are accustomed to call a friend, in Karorpati there would be, phone a friend. So phoning a friend relieves us, gives us energy, or whatever, unburdens us. It does various things to us. So if I have a taste for that, then phoning a friend will help me. And you said that why did it relieve me? Because I texted and then I was feeling fine. Because some part of your being also got energy from and unburdened from that little text that you did, as if it gave you a feeling of interconnectedness, that we are connected, I'm connected, I'm not lonely.
Yeah.
And as if it gave you energy, and which is a completely valid kind of movement, in our phases of consciousness. But slowly what happens, that we all have the power to become, in the sense, not addicted to any outer thing, that oh, I am feeling though so deprived, and no, let me call a friend and otherwise I won't feel okay. So that thing goes away. Although you still connect with friends and everything is there, you have the delight of connecting with friends, but it is not that you don't have the delight within. You have the delight within also, because your vital now has totally turned to the divine. So all the energy that it needs is now replenished from the divine. For us, it has not now fully happened.
Yeah.
So we have to acknowledge that fully it has not happened. In degrees, we turn to the divine, then we again move to the word. And I'm not saying that turning to the divine is moving away from the world. Not like that. But like my whole source of energy is just the divine. For us, that is not the case.
Yeah.
So these kind of things we will need from time to time. Hand holding a friend, you are there for a relative, the relative is there for you, and that is how we are gaining strength. This is how we are all growing slowly. So this is a valid drawing of energy movement that you shared, that we draw energy. For somebody, it could not be connecting with a relative, but it could be connecting with nature, because that person may have cultivated a habit to connect with nature and then he feels energetic, right? Or somebody does exercise or yoga, or that is how he replenishes himself. So for each person it would be different, and it depends on what is the taste that you have earlier.
There was
Anyway, beautiful sharing today. Yeah.
Yes, Nandini?
Resonated with me. Thank you.
I was just on that point. I remember reading a mother's encounter of her life in France, and how she used to invite Krishna to come be with her. And she says, I used to talk with Krishna for hours, and I used to ask him to come, and I used to lay down my head on his lap and I used to sleep. And I remember that I used to have I still do, but earlier I used to have a habit of scrolling the phone before sleeping, doing this and that. And I read that and I thought, wow, it's so beautiful, because as you said, you kind of take that energy from scrolling the phone, maybe, that habit that you have developed. And I said, okay, let's try that, maybe I can call mother and, put my head on her lap and then sleep. And of course, I started doing it, and it's so beautiful now that that's now become the default, that rather than seeing the phone, before sleeping, I ask the mother, and I just, as much as I can, sometimes I can't as well, but spending time with her, telling her, okay, I did this, reflecting on the day and all of that. And it's beautiful because that energy has a little bit changed. Of course, there are other times when I'm lost and all of that, but at least in that moment and consciously doing it, it's yeah, it is really beautiful to kind of see that we have the power of making these small changes. And also just thought of that how vital, and it's still that your vital is not satisfied. I feel all the time there is this not being satisfied anything, something this, something that, no matter how much you're being conscious as well. But as you say, that it keeps going on for a long time. And then I think, okay, maybe, and I also wanted to ask this question, that why does it happen that for some people it happens very easily, but for some it takes a very long time?
Yeah.
I've seen that.
And there's another question I can ask you at this, and then maybe it will become clearer. So you can ask the same thing about when somebody playing instrument. And you can say, why is it that some people can play instruments so effortlessly and I am taking so much of time? What would be your answer? What would you say?
I mean, I think I feel there in that musical instrument, because I started learning piano as well. I see people who play it effortlessly. There is no effort. Like, I have to put a lot of effort, and really I feel effort becomes a bar. But people who can play effortlessly, I've seen it comes very intuitively, as if, it's not, they're not putting something in it.
नहीं, देखो, जो expert piano बाज है, do you know how many hours he has put so that he can become expert piano baz? We don't see that, right? है ना, वो नहीं दिखता, उसका सिर्फ परफॉर्मेंस दिखती है स्टेज पे, तो हमको लगता है वो देखो कितने एफर्टलेसली बजा रहा है. So even for the person for whom it seems to come effortlessly, you can be damn sure that in previous lives, or maybe whatever, childhood, whatever, we don't know how long this journey has been going on, lots of practice has been put, lots of practice. And जो beginner है, उसको उसको अभी वही करना है, उसने प्रैक्टिस करनी है, so that in some time he becomes a concert player, है ना. लेकिन वो वाली बात हमको दिखती नहीं है, हमको सिर्फ वो इजीली फ्लूइड मूवमेंट ऑफ फिंगर्स दिखता है, और हम लगता है भाई ऐसे बजाना है, ऐसे बजाना है, बट उसके पीछे इतना ज्यादा जो उन्होंने दे हैव एक्चुअली ब्लड एंड स्वेट they put, people who really are totally into their art or anything, that we don't see. So it's practice, basically it's practice. It doesn't come to anyone naturally, and जिसके भी पास वो naturally आ रहा है, you can be sure that वो previous बहुत सारा practice रह चुका है जो हमको अभी नहीं दिख रहा है, because previous lives, maybe. Yeah. Yes, Parul?
Beautiful explanation, Monica. I just wanted to highlight that word that you said, seems to. When Nandini was speaking, and when she said that, why is it so effortless for another person? And I have had this several times. In fact, very recently, once I had it for you. Why is being equanimous so effortless for Monica? And, why do I, despite having endured so much more pain, why is it still so effortful for me? And I realized the word is seems to. It seems to be effortless for another person. It's apparently effortless, easy for another person. We have no clue how, like you said, how much has gone behind, and I have noticed this tendency a lot where, because we are so focused on ourselves, on our suffering, our effort, our failures, and our little movement perhaps towards success. So it feels like we are being shortchanged. कुछ है जो किसी और को easily, simply मिल गया है जो हमें नहीं मिल रहा है. But I feel, and having this understanding, what you just said, it could be past lives, it could be something. They may have paid for it in some other way. Grace may have blessed them with this for something that they have done, some tapasya, somewhere. You know, understanding it like this brings a great calm to the heart that you are not being singled out, you're not being shortchanged. And if you continue to put in your work, you will be blessed with grace in whichever way grace feels fit, whenever grace feels fit. It's always ever flowing, but you will be more receptive and you will perhaps draw more, with this understanding that you shared.
Yes, absolutely. And on this example that you shared, I would say, it's just an appearance. Like the example of me that I am appearing to be equanimous to you. You have no idea. You have no idea. So, many a times we were talking of, these, and as you rightly said, that we don't know how much, they are putting. Now we can talk about discoveries of Stephen Hawking, or, the kind of things that he has done. But do we have any idea how much he suffered in his personal life?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we don't have any idea. So वही इतना सा हम देखते हैं और उसको conclusion बना लेते हैं. So we have to just learn that my conclusions are actually not true anymore. We have
To
to
always remember that our perception is colored by our filters. Just that loosens the grip of वहां ऐसा है तो यहाँ ऐसा क्यों नहीं.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. सो इतना भी अगर दिखने लग जाए कि मेरे को क्लियरली नहीं दिख रहा है, वी एक्चुअली बिकम ओपन, राइट? सो अगर हमको दिख रहा है कि नहीं यार आज मैं क्लियरली नहीं देख पा रहा हूँ, जब हमें पता होता है कि नहीं आज क्लियरली नहीं दिख रहा, तो हम क्या करते हैं? हम स्लो चलते हैं, रुक रुक के चलते हैं, किसी की हेल्प लेते हैं, है ना, कि जरा बताना है यहाँ पे ना. वी बिकम अ लिटिल मोर ओपन एंड ग्राउंडेड. और अगर पता है नहीं मुझे पता है जो दिख रहा है वही सही है, तो फिर वी गो आर इन अवर एरोगेंस and then get hit, and then we realize, become grounded. So I think slowly life experiences tell us that we actually have to be unsure of our thoughts and feelings, because as you said, they are distorted lenses, and just like for me they are distorted, बाकियों के लिए भी तो distorted ही हैं. तो फिर जब अपनी गलतियां आराम से हम माफ करते हैं, फिर दूसरों की भी हम आराम से माफ करते हैं, क्योंकि उनको भी तो वैसा ही दिख रहा है जैसे मेरे को दिख रहा है. So forgiveness, compassion, this all like comes as a byproduct when we, go close to ourselves and realize that how unclearly we see. We don't see clearly. Yeah. Anything more here? Anyone? So let's take a few lines further and then we read a commentary by MP Pandit ji. So these guardian darknesses, they are not, and the boundaries of mind and ignorance, they are not protecting that curtain anymore. Protecting no more a dual eternity, that spirit is separate and matter is separate, and then there is superconscient and the inconscient. That separation now has vanished for him. Vanished, rescinding their enormous role. So they gave up their role, because now their role is not needed anymore. Once figure of creation's vain ellipse, the expanding zero lost its giant curve. So this we will read in the commentary by MP Pandit ji. Yes, this one. So let's go through this. I'll just go through these lines upon the lines that we just read, the commentary on these lines. So he says there are two darknesses that confine the soul which has not yet acquired individuality and conscious power to break out of its bounds. One is the neither belt of unconsciousness that we were talking, the neither belt, and the inconscience. where all awareness is lost as in a swoon, like when we are sleeping, we are not aware of things, anybody can do anything to us, because half of the time we are not in a conscious sleep, we are in an unconscious sleep. So in the neither belt of unconsciousness and inconscience, where all awareness is lost in a swoon, as it were, if man tries to go deeper than the levels to which his being is accustomed, so there one is lost. Other is a blankness that befalls the mind if it tries to shoot beyond the summit of his thought skies. So above the mind also, the mind loses its power, है ना? जैसे जब हम above, we go higher in our consciousness, mind becomes redundant. अब जैसे एक माइक्रोस्कोप है, a microscope is redundant, totally not needed when I want to look at Jupiter. But a microscope is very helpful when I have to look at a microorganism, right in front of me. But for Jupiter, I need something different, So mind becomes redundant when we go higher in our consciousness. And that is what for us ordinary beings, it is very difficult at times कि कैसे हो सकता है कि mind is, how can my mind be blank, how will I have any control over things, we don't want to lose control, as if we think we are in control. So they form, so to say, wholesome checks on the movements of the evolving being, preventing it from entering into regions for which its consciousness is not developed enough. So as we were saying, that the more we ripen in our individuality, the more we become ready for more and more adventure. And that is how slowly it is open to us. But as I'm not ready for that adventure, it is a closed seal. The only thing that I know is सुबह जागना है, नहाना धोना है, खाना पीना है, ये करना है, वो करना है, उसके बियॉन्ड मुझे कुछ नहीं पता. That is it. Like an refined animal, one can say, I live my life. Or an animal. But as we grow through life experiences, we see that no, something is missing, something has to be more. So when something is missing in our life, that is where we begin to grow further and further, and then things are revealed to us जो कि earlier हम उसके लिए ready नहीं थे. They begin to get revealed to us. Like we were sharing about this curtain example, that if I am rising up, immediately I am not ready for a solid full sunlight. In degrees I become ready. So somebody does half a curtain, and then a little more of a curtain, then maybe the person switches on light, and then now I can take the bright light, because my eyes and the cells in the eyes are there adapted to light now. But suddenly from darkness to light, I can't take. I'm not ready for that. Eyes will go constrict, that ki nahi dekhna abhi. So this is what happens in our being only. Also, that in degrees we become conscious of our higher self, and that is a process which infinitely goes on and on and on and on, and that is how things are revealed to us. So they are doing a job. These curtains are doing a job. These are wholesome checks on the movements of the evolving being. And one wholesome check, again, one example can be that if I have a very strong flow of Ganga river and there is a plastic cup in front of me, the plastic cup will shatter in front of the humongous flow of the Ganga river. This is what we saw, when these floods came, in the mountainous regions recently. Everything just shattered. It's not ready to take that flow. So our being will get shattered if a flow of too much light and power and grace and everything comes immediately rushing. It can shatter. And that is why you will see that at times in our lives, when we have deep experiences, either in meditation or in life generally, as if the body can't stand it. You want to just spill it out. You want to either share to a friend or, dance it out, or because the body is a weak container. It has to become ready container, and slowly we calm ourselves and a quietude comes in the being. So it becomes a solid, like a mountain like stillness comes in the being. We see this with Sri Aurobindo's. When we see Sri Aurobindo's picture, you will have personally feel that, you look at it and as if, people have commented marble like calm, like solid, vast peace and calm, mountain like calm. And why? Because he was taking in all these powers and the Ganga flow, and he had to be solid, otherwise how will the flow come through the instruments? But for us, एक छोटा मोटा इंट्यूशन आता है, छोटा मोटा इंसाइट आती है, उसी से हम इतना हिल जाते हैं और ऐसा लगता है वाओ, such an experience. So in degrees we become ready for all these experiences, and that is why these experiences are hidden from us. That's what we are reading, that they are like a check, that as in degrees we become ready for more, these powers and greater experiences also come to me. Yeah. So as a result, they keep matter and spirit apart, nature and soul apart, because of this curtain within, till a strong bridge between them is built by evolutionary labor. So this is the evolutionary labor, our life experiences, our lifetimes, कि पहले एक जी चुके, उसके बाद दूसरी कर ली experience, उसके बाद तीसरी, एक ही जन्म में आपके 2-3 lives हो जाती हैं, many a times it happens, you live such a good life that many lives as if in one lifetime. So through this evolutionary process, the spirits gains stature. These purposive belts of darknesses dissolved by themselves as Ashwapati grew in his stature. Now they are not needed anymore. So this is what we were reading. Once figure of creation's vain ellipse, the expanding zero lost its giant curve. So enclosed between the two darknesses, upper darkness and the lower darkness, this creation appears to go revolving round and round, repeating the same movements in the cycle of time, a purposeless whirl, sinking ultimately into a big zero. But that is only an appearance. The curve is always an ascending curve, and as is the case of Ashwapati, before an expanding consciousness, the boundaries finally fade away into an infinite expanse. So regarding this zero, many a times we look at ourselves and as if we are working on our inner, inner work is going on, we are trying to change our behavior with people and relationships, and you will see that at times you will see that abhi bhi wahi hu, I'm still there, because you see the same thought coming up, same triggers triggering you, अभी भी हिला के चले जाते हैं वो, but he is saying that ऐसा लगता है कि same है, as if again a round like a zero is there, you go round as if you're circling, but it's not a circle, it's a spiral. So earlier you were more attached in a relationship, now you are still seeing that I am attached, but the degree of attachment will have gone down. So that is how it's never like a zero, it's not a circle, but it's a spiral which appears that I am there, but in degrees I am rising up and above. So for all of us who feel that, oh, I'm still lazy, oh, I'm still arrogant, oh, ego is still there, whenever we are saying that to ourselves, we can be really sure that it's not the same thing. We are in degrees evolving. Although the same situation we may confront, the same relationships, two people have dynamics and they may come together again and again, they may have a kind of a clash or something, some argument or whatever, but you will see that again there would be a different nature to that clash. It's not the older clash anymore. There is more maturity, there is more understanding, there is easy forgiveness. So we are not circling, we are spiraling, and that is how we grow in our consciousness. So that's what he sees when he has this expanded vision, that once which appeared like a vain ellipse, that I'm just going round and round, it was not an ellipse. The expanding zero lost its giant curve. So it appeared to him that it is not a zero. We are actually progressing in stages. Yeah, so we can take reflections, if any, here. Yeah. So if not anything, I'm sorry that we only took a little bit today, but I think good to take little bits, but maybe something goes in and we are able to practice it in our life. That's more important. So maybe today we can just stop here itself and take the rest next time. Yeah. Any last comments? Anyone? All right. So if not anything, let's maybe take a moment of silence to ingather ourselves and sharing the merit, accumulated merit of clarity, understanding, collective reflection and reading, sharing all this merit with all the sentient beings near and far, like how we share prasad. May all of us have true contentment in our hearts and lots of progress and joy in our lives. Dedicating all this merit to the innumerable sentient beings. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.